Oh, it's beautiful too. I feel like I'm going to sing a song if you don't want that. Let's do this. We have the plenary session now where we're going to share our reflections and our learnings, but we opened Garma with these beautiful words, and we would like to also close the key forum with these beautiful words. Reflection in the water I see. 6 pretty girls on my mind today. Yellow foam floating down the river. Voices I hear of your heroes. In the classic Yotha Yimbi song Mainstream, M. Yunupingu looks into the sacred waters of the Yolngu nation to see the future. The faces of his children look back at him, while further out in the deeper part, the river of the sacred Gumach foam, created by the vibrancy of the mixing of waters, floats past. At the same time, the voices of his elders are speaking to him. His poignant questioning in the song mirrors what the nation has before it today. To live in the mainstream, to go under one dream, black and white living together. So this session, we invite all Garma 2023 guests to share their reflections and their learnings over the 4 days and their thoughts about what the future might hold for our children. So how are we going to do this? We have some amazing volunteers who have been absolutely brilliant, and I think we need to thank them. They've been absolutely special. Stand up, our beautiful volunteers for the Key Forum. They have been marketing here. They have just been wonderful. I'll ask them to put their name down for next year. Have a request, me. They've been just wonderful. So it's about reflections and learnings. So they're going to run around with a microphone, and we would love to have a conversation. Feel free to come and sit on the floor or bring your chair closer, whatever you'd like. But if you're happy where you are, stay where you are, because I know we're all exhausted. So who would like to share? It's not going to be me. Oh, I could go on. I do a lot of talking, though. Who would like to share a reflection of learning or what you would like the future to hold for the children?
I didn't expect to hear so much language, and the children speaking in language and the adults. I sort of thought I would hear that through the music and the conversations, but to be just walking along the tracks, it was, yeah, I just didn't expect that. I sort of thought that, I don't know what I expected, to be honest, and so that was really wonderful to hear, and to hear the children singing last night when the band was playing, and
that was special.
So I think that on my reflection was something that was gave me confidence for the future, to hear that I lived in a world where I thought the language was all just dying out, and so that would be my reflection.
Oh, beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. What you're seeing is what the world would have looked like without colonisation and without the effects being so heavy in some of the states that we have. But also that to these children, English is their 4th or 5th language. So, I taught a young boy, Josh Gudawiwi, who came to Parade College, and I taught him how to read English, but he could speak 5 other languages, so very, very intelligent. It is nice to hear language.
The overwhelming feeling I received here was that of a really friendly atmosphere and an inclusive atmosphere, and particularly from the First Nations side of things, if you have to use that, is how inclusive they want to be. And how friendly they want to be, and they don't want this divisive argument that's going on and is driving us all crazy.
In one of the conversations, I think Kobe from the Powerhouse said, she described culture as being passing on of a piece of knowledge and changing it and utilising it for more contemporary times, and that's what we were seeing there. We're actually seeing culture, and it was really, really exciting, and it's such a remarkable model that we'd just love to see that kind of model rolled out a little bit throughout the country, because it could do enormous good in the long term.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
The main impression for me, I have been absolutely awed by the generosity extended by the Yolngu people in the face of all the destruction that has come before, and the impression it really leaves me with is the incredible power of generosity. And it's been a powerful but gentle weekend. And that's a kind of leadership I would love to see more of in this country. And I feel that we don't need to wait for the rest of the country to catch up or the outcome of a referendum to start following this leadership. We start today. And I guess I want to also make a call to action for all of the Balanda people here to go home, and Dean Parkin told us that if we can all influence 2 people, we will win the yes, but I don't want to stop at a lukewarm yes. I want a wholehearted, fulsome 97% yes that sends a strong message of reply to this weekend that we mean it, we want reconciliation, and we are eternally grateful for the invitation to walk this together and to call this our country.
Beautiful. That leadership that you spoke of, and seeing that it's really gentle, that's the kind of leadership I grew up with my father. You know, I never heard my father raise his voice or my grandfather raise their voice. Gentlemen who walked through this earth and changed the world for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, you know, being able to walk within the 2 worlds. So this is a leadership style that I've grown up with my whole life, so to see it here is beautiful as well. But I'm glad that you can see it too and that we can learn from it. So thank you for sharing your story.
This partly here on the corporate ticket on behalf of Parks Australia, so as a Commonwealth bureaucrat, but then also as an individual. So really so much to process, particularly in my role as a public servant, and taking that reflection around, I think a lot of comments we made around, I think a really good comment around people come with good intentions but don't have their listening ears on, which I think is probably so symptomatic of people coming and smiling along, and politicians and almost pretending to listen but they're not taking that back. So really thinking through what that means, how can I be different, how do you change the system to take some of these learnings back and not just fall into that same habit being broken by the process and systems. So that's been really interesting for me to reflect on how I might do differently. So it's a lot to process, both as an individual and as our professional selves. So
beautiful. It takes time to listen deeply, and Aboriginal people, you know, we stop, we pause, we listen, and you know you can learn that. And so Miriam Rose, if you'd like to look at that work on Dadari, so that can help you or speak and connect with your local Aboriginal people, and that's a good way because it's different all around the country, has different names, but the act is deep listening.
For the future of our kids and for the future of this country, I just would like to see, before I kick the bucket, that we get to the stage of unconditional recognition. Okay? And I'm just going to read a little part of this poem that my brother put together, because it might just take up too much time if I read the whole lot. It's called I Am, and the part that it goes through the stages of, you know, like what the government and the people of this country did. But it always comes back to us, saying that Aboriginal law, Aboriginal country, tells me this is still my country. This is my future. So if you want to do it right, get over your socialisation. There's nothing to reconcile, just unconditional recognition. And if you want me to read the rest of the poem, just say so.
So,
Say so, okay. Rightio. It's called I Am. Kukuyalanji, past, future and present. Goa Yirandali validates my rights, my essence. Margani, I am. That's the fact. No power on this earth can ever alter that. You try and patronize me with outpourings of altruism, but I'm still in your political, economical and military prison. Give it the pretty, catchy heading of reconciliation. You want my forgiveness, but return nothing. What condescension. Then you decide that it's right to recognize native title. Can't you see that it's your racialism on the recycle? How to keep blacks in their place? Low life expectancy. This is genocidal culling. This excess mortality. Kukialanji, past, future and present. Goa Yirandali validates my rights, my essence. Magani, I am. That's the fact. No power on this earth can alter that. When your predecessors took my country, racialist violation. And what has happened since justifiably demands reparation. But we will forgive if your efforts is of the honourable intent of unconditional recognition. Yes, pay the rent.
So that lead us to, when was that written?
Long time ago. My brother, Shay's dad, Les Collins.
Made good people, Les.
And I've kept it. And this is this is like my Bible. Every morning I go through this. That stands me in good stead.
I've enjoyed being here for a number of reasons. And one was that I expected forward planning to be part of the agenda, but I didn't expect it to be so far-reaching and so comprehensive. So that took me by surprise, that it was so there was so much forward planning going into the direction of where to go next and how to achieve it. So it's congratulations. The other thing that impressed me was that watching the dances, particularly the other day, and having heard from so many Indigenous people that their dancing and their culture was suppressed, and the Aboriginal dancers were there, but there were also a lot of white people dancing with them, and I thought, oh, they were taught that they weren't supposed to dance, but now they're teaching us their dances. And so what's happened is that there's been, for me, there's been a theory that that stage is past, that we're willing to learn, even if it's only dancing, but it's something we're willing to learn. And hopefully that learning from Aboriginal people will continue. I come from Western New South Wales, and the other thing I've been impressed with was the dialogue around the yes vote. Where I live, it's a safe Liberal seat. It has been for generations, and I'm really envious of you people who seem to come from communities where the yes vote is being supported, because I tell you, if there's 10 people in the room where I come from, I would be the only yes supporter, and maybe there might be one other person. So I guess for me, it's made me think that I need to be more courageous, and even if I do get into a few fights, well.
So I hope you got a yes T-shirt when you were here. Did you?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Oh, you'll have to get on. You'll have to get on Yes 23 and get yourself a T-shirt and a placard for the front of your house, and make sure that you have those conversations. If you are in a conversation that isn't safe, then it is time to walk away from that conversation. But to step into and be courageous, because that is what's needed. And you know, even though you might be that 1 out of 10, just those tiny little conversations, they make a difference. Reminds me of the day that my son wore. It was Oaks Day. Everyone got excited. It was grade 6. All the girls had to wear hats. The boys had to wear their suits to school. He strolled out with a T-shirt and a pen, and he said, "I would like you to write on my T-shirt the name of the horse that had died just the last week and the number of horses that had died this week in horse racing." And he wore that T-shirt to school. I said, "You know what's going to happen at your school? They're going to kick you out of the classroom." Instead of seizing that moment and saying, "Here's a moment to see the other side of horse racing," they kicked him out, and he watched 3 movies for the day. But he came home and he said, "I spoke to 2 people, and 2 people no longer will go to the races and will not support horse racing." So that's all it is. It's just having that courage stepping forward. So I hope that you take courage of Garma with you as you do that in that space. So thank you.
I've seen a really interesting duality with the corporate space and the community space. And on one side, I think it's been very clear that there's so much potential and so much that's being shared through, in this case, the Yolngu and broader First Nations community. And while a lot of people are listening, I don't feel like we're having a proper conversation yet, in particular through the corporate side of things. So I've been reflecting on that sort of discomfort. And while those baby steps in listening are really important, I think while there is discomfort there, it's representative of a broader shortcoming that we have as a society. We're not fully walking together and not working towards that shared story yet. But at the same time, there's so much potential that we've seen in that, and so much generosity in what's being shared.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. You're right. There is a big difference between corporate and community, a huge difference. I spend a lot of time in both worlds. Yeah.
One more example, I couldn't help. It's been really interesting looking out among the audience as well throughout the weekend, and not just the panellists. And doing that now, I can't help but notice a lot of green wristbands, and I think that speaks volumes to that dynamic as well.
So green wristbands, sorry, forgive me, I didn't get one. What are the green wristbands? Are they community? Red's corporate and green is? General. Oh, beautiful, thank you. I've spent a lot of time in corporate in AFL and a lot of time with general public, and I like this. I know what wristband I would like to be wearing, and it's probably going to be the green one. But corporates have their place. Corporates have a lot of power in this country, and what we hope here at Garma is that they learn, and they learn to walk learn in two-way learning. And that's what we're hoping that you learn and you take back with you. And then you take back with you to sit in a circle and yarn and to share your stories at equal level together. And that would be nice that's good to know that we took that back and have more community and sharing and being together. But I agree with you, yeah. Community is a lovely place to live, but corporate feels special and it has its place. And I hope the power that is held in corporate is taken back and used well. So thank you.
What I wanted to reflect on was the jambach, that term, that expression, because when we think about two-way learning and learning from Yolngu, learning from Balanda, how that comes together in mainstream, as Mandawai tells us, I think the other element of jambach is that it's the essence of being in a state. And so many principles of Yolngu culture have those essences built into them. And it's those essences, those principles, that are the most important things, I think, to take away. Because that is you then start to connect really to what that feeling and what that connection to country is from Yolngu. So think about the essence and the state of being as much as this notion of excellence from a Balanda point of view or from whatever. Think about your own personal state of being, and I think that helps us bring us all together, and I think it helps us all achieve, if we achieve that balance, that excellence, that's really what I take away from my experience here, and I think it's been a good reflection of those type of ideas here this time. Thank you.
It is something special to take forward with us, so thank you for bringing that up.
So my son was fortunate enough to be in the youth forum as well, here with the Dupamar Barker School. And what I learnt from his experience and my experience is there's real hope for the future, but it's the kids who are going to deliver it.
Always.
And I love those lines in the Uluru Statement from the Heart about walking together for a better future for our children.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've had 2 years in Melbourne where they haven't had contact with other children. They've been in their bedrooms pretty much. And so a lot of skills have been lost. And so that fear of stepping into that space was real. And then 8:30 was drop off. 9:30 at night I saw him, and it's been like that every day. Not even a drop off anymore. See you later. Got to go, 7 o'clock, got to make sure I'm there, can't miss anything, and absolutely loved it. But the transformation has been significant in their spirit, so that's been beautiful. I'm glad that your son got to do it too.
And I just want to say it's more than I expected and absolutely wonderful. I've had some lovely conversations with other campers about the voice and Aboriginal people and what can we do. Generally they end up, it's so complicated, but being here and hearing what everybody's saying, it makes it a bit simpler.
It is simple.
So thank you for everybody talking.
You go back and you talk to your people and they want the complication. We're at this stage. This is a simple thing. This is a simple question we're asking you, and keep it to that question.
I just wanted to acknowledge,
Andrea.
Auntie Andrea, I acknowledge the poem that you read out this afternoon, and acknowledge the roles that some Indigenous people, we've got Auntie June Oscar over there,
yes,
as Social Justice Commissioner. There's some of the roles that we take.
Absolutely.
We're in quite, we're often one out in institutions that aren't made for us, and you turn up every day.
Yeah.
And that resilience and courage, it's noticed. I see it, the community see it, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very, very, very grateful for you. And we're grateful for the toll that it takes, and we acknowledge the toll that it takes on their own souls. And they just get up every day, just keep going and going.
Absolutely. I think upon reflection, something that's really stood out to me is, and in my work, we often straddle the corporate and government sphere as a First Nations social change agency. But often the rules of engagement are already set for Aboriginal people. And something that really stood out to me is Aboriginal people know the answers. And why are we determining what the opportunity is for Aboriginal people to succeed, to be excellent? There is an overwhelming paternalistic sight on Aboriginal culture. They love the music and love the dance, and I love it too. But there is so much more there. And we're just now learning about it through programs like the Ranger program. So the lady who joined from Parks Australia is a part of that and a part of making that a reality. But as they were talking about up in the key forum stage, they were doing that long ago, and they didn't need to be called Rangers. They had their own name for that, and that's part of their own cultural practice. And I think when I look at it, and something that I want to take back into my own practice is, I don't need to have the answers. I need to give that and give community a voice, and use my position in the roles and the people who have my ear to go, we can't tell them what their opportunity is. We know what it is. They know what it is. And if you want to have an impact, you got to give that power over to them and let them determine what it is.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That's strong.
This is my first time here at Garma, and I'm just overwhelmed. I'm just, it's so much more than what I expected. And I guess the first thing that struck me was I've been talking with, being here by myself, I get to talk to lots of people in the lunch queues and at the tables and what have you. And I didn't realise so many corporate things, people were coming from corporate areas. And I guess what I'm struck by is how much is it already going on in people's workplaces, in communities. I mean, for me, it's really important, the yes conversation, the yes success. But just one thing I wanted to say is, I wasn't at the session the other day with Thomas Mayo, and I don't know whether or not
that was somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been mentioned, the Together Yes website. It's a model that's been set up by the Victorian Women's League or something, and it's the idea is to have conversations with 10 people. And they're a structured format,
Beautiful.
To actually have 2 conversations 3 weeks apart, And if you don't know how to start, get those resources and get talking with the soft nose, as they're called.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, it is overwhelming. My first Garma was only last year, and I just was like just absorbing absolutely everything. And I was over there in the key forum for majority of the day, and again this time. But I'm just like so jealous of everything that you've done as well. I said I'm going to come back and I'm going to just next year and just do what everyone else is doing. They said no, sorry, you're not. But no, I love it. So thank you. I'm glad you're loving it.
I've been wanting to really commit to the deep listening over the last few days, and so I really said very little, including to myself, to really try and just really work out what these last few days will impact on me. So I just acknowledge that, and that's a wisdom that you have. Yeah, taking time. Few things. This is the second time I've been at Garma, and it was 20 years ago the first time.
Wow.
And people often say, oh, what was it like then? And there's many things are different, but actually the power of that clarity of purpose and of community and of the time that it takes, the stories that have been shared on this Garma about back then, and the clarity, and that it's absolutely the sameness. That's also something that's very powerful, and many of us, I think, can learn a lot from that.
Yes, agree.
It's the wisdom of that. The other was just how important it is for Ballender to be prepared to sit with being uncomfortable. It's so important that we're prepared to do that. There was a discussion, about the women's crying business and our behaviours and how that impacted. And I want to thank Cody. I don't think she's here, but she was the woman who spoke up about that and asked us to hear that.
Yeah.
And we have to be prepared to do that, because that actually, it's in those small moments that we get this together, because we get it more, rather than just staying in the kind of the rhetoric of being together. I think we all want that, but you've really got to listen to understand those Ballender behaviours, because we don't talk about it much, do we?
No,
really.
We couldn't even say white privilege before that.
Right.
And that's only like a few years. And now people are more comfortable with hearing that there is such thing as white privilege and what that structure looks like and what your role is to create opportunity for others within that privilege from the effects of colonisation.
I think for those of us who have access to place, to power, to opening up, again, that really powerful message of give over the power. I mean, there's so many examples that we've all had access to of clarity of purpose, of the maternal health work. Wow. Incredible. So beautiful. Clear about what's needed. We have to back that in. We have to back that in.
Yeah.
And so that renewed sense of, everybody talks about struggle's hard and long. Well, the incredible tenacity that deserves us really rolling up our sleeves afresh. Well, let's use this year for tactical purposes. The voice really matters, but also the voices are all there in so many different ways. And so I just want to say I'm really thinking again strategically about how we give up that power and give that power over. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So my dad was the CEO of Aboriginal Hostels for Australia. So we're talking 50 years ago. And he hired a woman, an Aboriginal woman who could not read or write. And he taught her how to read or write. And she was his receptionist, taught her how to read and write on the job. He created an opportunity for an Aboriginal person because he knew nobody was going to hire an Aboriginal woman with 3 children who could not read or write. So we don't need to have all of these degrees to go in and be awesome. We invite people into your space that and let go of that status quo, that thing that we have in our heads. That's what makes you excellent. You've heard what Yolngu excellence is. You've heard Jumbach. Take that with you. We don't need a degree. Look, that woman spoke at my father's funeral. He died at the age of 50, at the expected age of an Aboriginal man at the time, 25 years ago. And she has a completely different life because of it. So create opportunity with your position of power. Thank you. Thank you. But thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure to be an MC here and be a part of your journey and your stories. And I hope you take this Garma back with you and take that yes, because I certainly will be voting yes. And if I get a couple of extras, I'll do a couple of extra ticks if I can just pull in some. It's the only drop on the floor, pick it up. But yes will come from me. I hope it comes from you, and I hope that you have those conversations with people when you come home. And for some of you, it'll be difficult, and we send you strength and love. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of Garma.